The next book that I did after
That's
that
true.
is called The Man, which is more of a character-driven thing. What I'm doing now is a book going to be called St. James, which is about teenagers growing up on Long Island. And just to give you an example, just a couple of days ago, up came the song "Whip It" by Devo. And so I started listening to some Devo songs, which is right in the time era that this is set in,
Hmm.
which is the late 70s. So I'm going to probably have a scene where some of the characters are debating new wave music versus Led Zeppelin and that kind of thing and talking about Devo. And actually, they had a lot of good pop rock songs, new wave songs, much better than a lot of other bands that, are considered higher up. And it's a shame that the band Devo is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because
Oh,
they were singular.
and then I mean, you want to talk about they may have in fact invented new wave.
Yeah.
All the kind of angular, jagged, almost you
If you
see.
listen to a lot of the Talking Head stuff, it's probably about 50% of the way to where Devo was. But Devo was constantly on the forefront. They were the vanguard.
And Devo inspired by the Kent State Massacre.
Yeah.
So a lot of people they think of Devo, they think of Whip It, they think of it's almost a novelty act, but really at the core of Devo is a very astute critique of the death of the American dream that you see all throughout the 70s when you have people like Hunter S. Thompson writing about, the wave of the 60s started to pull back, and what was left was this pop culture detritus that people were kind of trying to figure out how do we move forward. And you see groups like Devo and also kind of the origin of hip hop around the same
And
time.
I'll take Devo over the Ramones or any just plain old punk rock bands because there's a literate nature
Yes.
that they had.
Yeah.
More so than again like the B-52s or Talking Heads.
You're right.
They they remind me almost sort of like THX 1138, the first Lucasfilm. They though
Mm.
stuck to their guns artistically, whereas Lucas sold out.
Yeah. Well, and you want to talk about sticking to your guns. Devo has been wearing the power hats for almost 50 years now, and there's
Yeah.
no end in sight. They almost remind me of the situationalists, the kind of French group, because they were always doing like, kind of making their television appearances something of an event, kind of in the Andy Kaufman style.
Yeah.
It, it, the 70s are a very interesting time because you get the mix of the biggest pop culture events of all time. You get the Led Zeppelins, but then you also get this origins of this subversive post hippiness that doesn't quite ascribe to the Grateful Dead, but it also doesn't like Led Zeppelin. So what do? You go to Devo. That's what happens. You mentioned a bit of your compositional process, working on notes and such. Do you think this is a very broad question, but do you tend to focus on eras? It sounds like you're in your 70s mood right now.